We do record these sessions as well, so that those of you that can't make it can catch up later. If being part of these meetups, whether it's hosting or demoing, if there is something that excites you, let us know and you can get involved. Sort of like me hosting it tonight. We've got a couple of good speakers here tonight from community and from the team, but so far we've got Doug McCusker, saying that right, Doug? And he's from Microsoft, and he'll be taking us through using AI for auto generators to create podcasts, which is pretty cool. And then we have Colin Zimba, who will be demoing his team solution from a recent Investec Microsoft hackathon called Kumba. That should be cool as well. And then we've got an update. We'll be updating you on what's new in the community for November and December. And then finally, we'll be taking a look back on things that we've achieved in the community over the last year. And then just a reminder, recently the Investec developer LinkedIn has gone up, and we'd really love for everyone in the community to give it a follow. There's a lot of really cool things being shared there, awesome things, and we really want to showcase the community to the rest of the world. So if you can, and I think Shan, you'll just send a link or that LinkedIn.
Nick sent the link. You're not. I can't see the updated slides though. Just so you.
Let me. That one.
Cool. And the next one.
Next one. Sorry, but that's the agenda. Just for everybody. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes, not looking at driving the slides as well. But I also see that I missed in the notes here is that Johan will also be speaking from the programmable banking team, and he is one of the developers that are actually working on the API, so he'll be able to give us some good insights of what's been happening and some of the changes that have happened recently. And then, so that's, if anybody wants to snap a picture of that, that is the link to the LinkedIn page. So if you just give that a quick snap, I'll leave that up while I just intro our first speaker, which is Doug. Doug McCusker is a technology strategist at Microsoft. Some of you might remember him from the Investec Developer Hackathon this year with Microsoft. And he will be talking to us about the AI auto generators to create podcasts with Azure and Power Platforms. Doug, are you ready to take it away there?
I am ready to go. So let me
awesome.
Just share my screen a second. Yeah. I think I know this very quickly, but yeah. All right. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No, come on. Yeah, maybe I should click on share the screen.
Yeah.
It's been a long day, right?
Sure, man.
It's
coming up. It's coming up.
It is. Yeah, perfect. All right. So, yeah. So thanks for the intro. I am Doug McCusker from Microsoft, but I'm also here just kind of in because it's just something that I've been working on, and I'll give you an understanding of why I've been working on this, right? So what started me on this, and I think there's a lot of people have been talking about podcast generation, and there's a lot of tools out there. Google's got one, and I think it's great, and it really sparked my imagination onto how could we use this type of concept to do a whole bunch of other things. And the one for me that actually got me started working on this, because I come traditionally from a low-code, no-code platform, but we've had to do some coding as well, which I'll get through as well, is that, so just a bit of personal context, I've got 11-year-old son who's on the autism spectrum, pretty high functioning. So I mean, it's great, but he thinks very differently to to a lot of people and to me as well. And he's been studying for his exams, and I wanted to kind of like figure out a way, like, you know, everybody thinks different to somebody else, right? And we all get delivered the same type of content, but how could we deliver this content to an individual that is engaging and exciting, but also talks to how they consume content? So I embarked on this project to essentially help my son to learn and grow, and we've been listening to these podcasts every morning. I literally just like, yeah, I'll show you now. I take a picture of some of the material that he's gone through. It could be a photo, could be a PDF, could be anything. And within 5 minutes, I've got a podcast that we listen to in the car that does like a study recap or whatever it's going to be. So what did I use to build this solution? Well, I've used a couple of stuff because obviously I am from Microsoft, so I'm going to be using Microsoft technologies. Azure Speech Services, SDK. Azure Speech Service is an amazing service. The voices that are in there, some of the stuff you can do, but I'm not going to sell you stuff in the space. I used Azure Functions. So I've created an Azure function to actually do the synthesis and hand it over to the speech service and create the MP3 audio file for me. And my Power Platform is actually my front end and the place where I do all the customization, including utilizing the GPT-4o model in AI Builder, because I can do some amazing things inside of that. Azure Storage to store, to store the files and Azure Store Queues. I've done this in Python, VS Code, GitHub, Copilot as well. All right, everybody can hear me still okay? Right. So I've explained what I need to do, and I'm going to go into the live demo. So essentially what happens is, in the case like just from this morning, I take a photo of the content that he went through the evening before or the week before. I then launch my podcaster app on Power App. I set a whole bunch of stuff. It then obviously works together with my function app. And at the end, I've generated a podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop out of this one. Let me just pop out of this and load this up. So I'm going to show you the end result first, and then I want to go through the app, and then I'll go quickly through the function app and what that does. So you can see over here, we did the geo recap here, exploring South Africa climate. So that's basically all those pictures that I took, right, of the documents. And with my prompt, it's generated something like this. And I'm just going to go 30 seconds, 34 seconds into it. Let me know if you can hear.
Ooh, I don't think we can see the screens flowing as you're describing it. Apologies.
Welcome to the...
Yeah.
Can you see the app?
No, we
No,
can't. You're still
it's
stuck
your
on your
slide.
slide. Apologies.
My slide's not there anymore. It's lag.
It's
Still
good
not
to hear
see-
the welcome start.
Is it still stuck on the slide?
Still stuck on the slide.
It
Can you
says
stop?
how it works. Live demo time. That's what we see. The plus
Okay.
plus equals to express. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and just reshare again because I don't know, there's some sort of lag on there. Share again with audio. Man, I was in such a roll as well.
I was drawing pictures in my mind already. Thanks.
Well, that's how he thinks, right? He thinks in pictures as well, right? Like I do as
Fantastic.
well. I think in images.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So, can you see it now?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right. Okay, so this is the last part of the app, right? Because I just want to show you some of the output, and you'll see here I've got a community podcast tech insight. So, Shannagh team gave me one of the scripts that we had from a transcript from one of the community events. So I'll play that a bit, and I just literally took that transcript as it is, did no modifications on it, uploaded it, and the result was amazing. So let me just show you what my son heard this morning, and literally best day of my life. At the end of the car ride, he gave me a high five because I got everything that he needed. He loves his humor, he loves his puns, he loves critical thinking. So here we go.
Welcome to the Geo Recap. For full transparency, please note that this study recap has been created with the assistance of generative AI. I'm Jill.
And I'm Jack. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of climate and natural vegetation in South Africa. Get ready for an engaging and energetic discussion.
Absolutely, Jack. Let's kick things off with a quick overview. Did you know that South Africa has a variety of climates ranging from hot and dry to warm and wet? It's like a climate buffet.
That's right, Jill. And speaking of buffets, let's talk about the difference between weather and climate. Weather is like the daily special, while climate is the overall menu.
Okay, so I'll stop it there. You get the idea of how this is going, right? And he loved it. It's like a buffet. You know, this is what he remembered, right? I'm going to remember weather is like the daily special, and you know, that was like, so that was really cool. And you know, when we looked at just the transcript, I'm just going to run this one quickly. I won't go through the whole thing, but that was like 91 pages of transcript that you had, right? Here we go.
Welcome to Community Podcast, where we delve into the latest in tech and development. I'm your host, Emma, and I'm joined by Andrew. For full transparency, please note that this podcast has been created with the assistance of generative AI.
Hey, everyone. Today, we're diving into the recent community meetup and discussing some exciting developments and insights shared during the event.
Absolutely, Andrew. The meetup kicked off with a community demo from Shaylin, who showcased an auto savings bot using the Investec programmable banking API suite. It was fascinating to see how technology can help automate savings based on
I'll stop there. But I mean, that's awesome, right? So now you get, so I'm doing everything now on my podcast because it hypes me up because it goes, okay, fantastic. I even did the README on my GitHub repo. I think that's the way we're going to start doing it from this day on. Okay, so let me show you, you know, how I set up the styles and stuff like that. So I'm just going home, right? Over here. Here, the challenge I had was a lot of people that have been building a lot of these services, and a lot of them are not really customizable. And I wanted to customize it, right? I wanted to be able to change things. I wanted to be able to add additional styles, understand the person, you know, just do a whole bunch of stuff. And that's why I went to the Power Platform. Eventually, I'll go and build this into a proper standalone app with all this functionality, but this is where I am, right? So I will just say over here that this is Nick and Jenny. And I can select the voices. So what I'm doing here is I've just got a predefined list here, but there's a lot more voices. So there's a whole bunch of voice listers in the Azure speech services, and I was choosing Azure HD voices, which give it that kind of like gravitas in the speech. I don't know if you've heard stuff before, but this one keeps it really kind of like deep and nuanced and things like that, which is really what makes the difference. And then I would go to Emma. And here you'll see I've got the styles. So you see how I've got adventure, developer insights, financial insights, study break radio show, right? Essentially, I've got these little styles that are predefined that I'm picking up, right? So if I go into the adventure one, just click on here, and you'll see that I've added like the introduction. So when it comes to the introduction, here's the tone, right? So you can guess now where I got adventures from, right? So anybody remembers Dora the Explorer? Hola, hola everyone. Welcome to the day we're on an adventure. You're gonna try this on like financial information. It's amazing. Hola, you've overspent. Can you say no money? So, you know, it's really great. So that's basically what the style guides are, right? And I got one for adventure, and I can go crazy, right? And this is just the style of the hosts, right? So I want to give them that style, that energy, stuff that they can say, how they should talk to each other and engage with each other. So it's a really, really quick way to do it. The other thing that I've got there is I can, if I want, create an audience style. So now I want to keep that energy that they've got, but I want them to talk to specific things. So in the case of my son, I'll put in the little description over here that goes, hey, you know, he is, you know, in grade 5, he's, you know, super creative, he likes illustrations, he does all this kind of stuff, and it'll keep that and put humor in. Or I can say, you know, the guys like humor, but they know when to be serious. And that really works, and it really changes it. Okay, so after that, what I do is I do a podcast. You've got the option to choose a podcast from text, so copy and paste, right, directly into here. Okay, so I'm just going to go whatever it is, and it's probably going to break because I'm just typing in rubbish. Okay, and when I hit the scripted button, what it's actually doing is it's calling the Power Automate flow in the back end, right, with AI Builder. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. And it's taking all the inputs that I've gotten, or the voices that I wanted and things, and it's generating an SSML, speech services markup language script. And what I wanted to do, okay, so I can't because I've got nothing inside of there, but I'll get there later. It brings the SSML into here, and I can actually edit it. So I can make changes, because that's one of the other things that I wanted to check was that, maybe I want to check changes, I want to take out some words, change things around, and then I hit podcasted. Now, when podcasted runs, what it actually does is it sends it over to a queue service, right? So there's your storage queue service, and then a whole bunch of things right over, and I'll run through that a bit now. The other one is I can do it from a PDF image, which is exactly what I did the last time, which is essentially just upload the file. Then what it does is it's actually using document intelligence, which I'm also using in Power Platform, but I could use it in the Azure service natively, extracting all the text, and then doing the same thing that it basically did with the other text. Then I can go and view the podcasts. So what I'm going to do is, and as I'm going to show you the code as I go through, Nick and Ginny, Andrew 2, adventure, adventure time, right? And I'm just going to leave the audience off, and what I want to do is podcast from PDF, and I'm just going to attach that, and then while I show you the other stuff, we'll let it process. I'm going to take that 93-page file. So you'll see here, downloads, don't laugh at my folder structure, and just keep me honest on time because I'm a terrible long talker. Let's go to podcaster here. And it was not the 26th of the 9th, it was this one.
I thought you were joking. Jeez.
Hey?
I thought you were joking.
What? You thought I was joking?
I think it's more of your file naming conventions.
Oh my God, yeah, no, that's terrible. So it is. There's my community meetup. Where's my community meetup? Come on.
At the top, no?
Was it this one? Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to run through that one, and then here I'm going to hit the scripted button. Okay, so that's going to run. So let me show you what I've done in the function app. It's not all just low code. All right, and just to explain everything that it's doing, I'm just going to read you my README file, because README files are critically important in everything that you do, right? What is this thing doing? Why is it doing? And just so that I can get through the time, because everybody knows how I can talk, right? So basically it converts the podcast script, right? Which was pre-processed and processed in speech markup language, synthesis language, sorry, into high quality audio podcast, right? How it works is it's triggered by a message that is sent to the queue storage in Azure, okay? Because that's actually what it's doing from my Power Automate. So it's just taking everything that I collected and sending it to that queue, right? Then it processes the incoming message. It contains XML content, file names, title, and then I add title and description to add later on, to pass it to another flow at some point. It does content cleaning. It's one thing I had to do, right? Because I noticed that sometimes it come and add characters that the speech service does not like. So it runs through that quickly, it cleans it up, and then it actually sends it to the cognitive services for speech synthesis, converts it in an MP3 file, and then it's uploaded to blob storage where my Automate goes and picks it up and dumps it in the SharePoint list and puts the title and description in it. So what I actually do is I don't create the title and the description for the podcast until after it's actually done the script, because things change a little bit, right? So it gives it a much more valid description based off the raw content. So what it's using here to build this function app, it's obviously a Azure function app that you need to load in, blob storage, cognitive services, and Python 3.6 or later, right? I'm running 3.11, I think it is. Couple of variables that you're going to put in, your connections to your web store, to your storage connection string, your blob container name, your speech key, and your speech region. And off it goes. And if we take a look at the code, it's not very complex. I've gone through plenty of iterations of this. I was using an HTTP call originally, but soon found out that the HTTP function on the plan that I'm running, because I don't have a lot of money, would time out after like 2 minutes. And that was a problem, because depending on the length of content I was creating, it would time out, and then it wouldn't pass anything back to the Power Automate, because it timed out. So there you'll see here it essentially The main function is obviously the queue trigger function. And what it does is it once it gets triggered, it grabs the information, it gets the information, it does some double checking, cleans up the content, sends the message, sends the queue, etc. And then what it does over here is obviously the clean and sanitize SSML, send it to the speech service, do everything that it needs to do, double check that it's gone, delete it out, and it runs. So I hope that's like a very quick, brief rundown. How many minutes do I have left, Shannagh?
You have 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do quickly is just show you how let me actually go and show you, because actually the magic is in the AI builder. So I'm sure you guys want to see this, right? So you'll see I've got lots of create podcasts inside of here. So inside of the workflow, what is it that creates the script, right? And you'll see why I love using this at the moment, right? So you'll see here that I say I provided input, right? So the flow is putting in the content, right? So that content that we typed or we extracted in gets into over there, create a highly engaging podcast script based on the style guide. So that's that list that I pulled right from the drop down. So it grabs that tone and everything inside of there, give the host names, and it's pulling all that information from the Power App. And here, right, is output into SSML format, replace the voice 1 with the voice 1 I selected and the voice 2 with the voice 2 I selected. And then I got some information inside of here, right? And I've got some dummy content in here, which is great. I can actually just go and test this prompt out. This is financial insights. See there, I said the audience loves humor and everything, but also understands when things need to be serious and things need to be thought out about more. So it's taking all of this professional tone stuff that we've got, and it's running off of a content. There we go. So this is a financial insights podcast where we delve into those tech and development. I'm your host, Dave. Thanks for driving into the latest developments in AI and actually what that means. What I want to do quickly is show you this. So I'm just going to copy that one out. And the podcast demo should have, there we go. So it came through on my one script that I was doing. I don't know what was the community. I think I didn't get the community one. Yeah, what script did it go? So what I want to do is just show you where the magic was inside of the Speech Studio. So Speech Studio is actually an amazing thing. I'm just going to the one where you can actually create content. So if you wanted to type out stuff yourself, you know, sentences and add voices and change tones and nuances and stuff like that, you can, right? So text file. I could type this in here and then start changing the voices, very manual process, right? So actually what I want to do is throw in the SSML that was generated. I'm just going to control that and control V, right? I don't know. Okay, maybe this was not working so well. Well, basically did that, but essentially that's what it's doing. It's taking in the text and it's doing this and parsing it and doing all of it. And in the service, you can actually go and do things like pronunciation, you can do annotations, you can do rave, you can change pitch, which is mean these are all things I could actually put into the SSML. So, you know, next stage is going to be like when you see the word wow, you know, make it up, you know, make it louder. You know, if you hear things like this, but that's the HD voices do kind of pick that up on the words already, but you could go crazy on this. The beauty of the speech service as well is I could record my own voice. And it could be me talking to me. Because the only person I listen to is myself. Not often, but yeah, I love talking to myself, right? So yeah, and that is essentially it. So where do I want to go next? So in the deck, I do have all of this information that I was talking through down. I built the doc, and my README file I hope is good. I'm not going to go through this. So there's the function definition, and it goes through everything, and it's all in the notes. And this goes through the workflows that it kind of fires off of, right? So as I was explaining, when it calls a flow, it creates a text, responds to a Power App. And then this is another flow that actually runs when you hit the podcaster, right? So it's going there. You'll see it's putting the message into the queue, right? That one does the same thing, essentially. Thank you, the podcast has been sent for processing. And you'll see over here what's happening in the background. There's a trigger that's just monitoring that storage queue. And it's grabbing the JSON, it deletes the message, it creates a path, it goes and creates a file in SharePoint and updates the properties on that. And essentially that's it. So couple of challenges I had. Function app was timing out. Luckily, I could phone a friend, which was Nabil. I don't know if Nabil's on the call, and we worked out the queue storage stuff, and that was a lifesaver, right? SSML was not always clean. Performance is incredibly important because the longer it takes, the slower you get, and I needed to make it more flexible easily, and that's when I started working with style guides and coming up with things like that as well. And I've never created a function app before. Believe it or not, I'd never created a function app before. So thank you, GitHub Copilot, for helping me in that space. I swear that is an amazing tool. I was doubtful in the beginning, but not anymore. Where I want to go, create something that works with our Power Apps, but with the same functionality, so we can make it like cheap as possible. Maybe see if we can use some small language models, actually calling from a local device to do some of this. That would be amazing. Maybe we can expand into video generation. But take this whole concept of being able to take content, one type of content, and based on the personality of the person that is actually and their likes and dislikes, actually have it delivered in a way that will actually help them absorb it a lot better. And that is me.
Thank you so much, Doug. It was really interesting. I remember you talking about it at GitHub Constellation, and I thought it's really such an awesome idea. I didn't even think, we could do it with the current technology. And seeing how you've used it for your son, I think was such a great use of this technology.
I run from my phone.
What's that?
I literally take a photo 5 minutes before we're leaving for school. And by the time we're in the car, we've got the podcast.
That's awesome. I saw there was one question from I think it was Peter or somebody else there asked, is the GitHub repo open, or is it?
It's closed now. It'll soon be open, because what I want to do is I want to put the app in there as well. We're going to clean up all my secrets and keys and API things inside of there. The repo will be open probably by the end of the week. And then it will continuously be changed, because one of the new things we want to do is maybe don't use the storage queues. Maybe we want to use Event Grid.
Awesome.
It's cooler. That's probably better to use, right? So I was just doing this, 8:30 at night to 3 in the morning. Just one more thing.
No, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Doug.
No, pleasure.
Cool. I think what we'll do is we'll move on. If anyone else has any questions for Doug, I don't know if you want to chuck them in the chat, just to keep us on time. Our next speaker is Collins. Collins Zimba is a senior developer at TonsTrack, and his team were the runners-up at the recent hackathon. And he'll be demoing their solution called Kumba. Collins, are you ready to give us that demo? Collins on the call there still.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. I am ready. So I am on a Mac, and I'm so glad we have someone from Microsoft here, because then I can...
I'm a community member tonight, I'm not Microsoft.
So we will see how well this goes. I'm trying to share my screen, but we'll see how well this goes. But nonetheless, I am here. I am ready. Please let me know if you guys can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet, Collins. There we go.
Yeah, there we can now.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll make it to full screen mode at this rate, because my
Okay.
Teams moves funny once I start screen sharing. So thank you all for coming through. Let me just start the timer on my side so that that also works. But I'm hoping that you guys can still see my screen. That's really what matters. Oh my gosh. It says loading on my side. Does it say loading on?
We see the drop down.
Okay, well, I can see the presentation. Hopefully you guys can see the presentation now.
Now loading.
So
Now we
it's
can see
loading.
loading.
Good grief. Okay, it's okay. We'll
I
make
think
it
it's
work.
more your internet.
No. It's possible. Everyone's at home watching stuff. All right, guys. My name is Collins Zimba. Thank you all for coming through and attending. This is going to be really awesome. So I'm going to be demoing Kumba, and Kumba is essentially a banker inside of your pocket. So the problem, to contextualize it a little bit, the problem that we encountered and that we noticed just having conversations with team members on the day is that phoning into call centers can often be like a pain. There's a lot of miscommunication that can happen. The line can be bad, and some people just have overall anxiety. And now, while we do acknowledge that Investec is different in the sense that there's the single core resolution mandate, it means you don't get bounced around between the accounts department and so forth and so forth. It is still a cause of anxiety for some people having to talk to another person who's in a call center. And in addition to that, alternatively, you could send out an email to your banker. However, we still have the challenge of what salutation do you use? How do you structure what you're trying to ask for? And then, how do you say thank you? Like all of those things. But even if you were to overcome all of those barriers and those obstacles, you still have to wait for them to get back to you. And that can be anywhere from like a few minutes to a few hours, or maybe even like a day or the weekend based on when you hit them up. So essentially, that's some of the things that we acknowledged. And essentially, that's why we then decided to build the solution, which aims to hopefully address some of those things. And so the reason then that we're solving this problem is to avoid having the email friction, having the wait times, and the anxiety that comes from phoning into a call center, and also to make banking more accessible by essentially allowing communication wherever you're communicating. And in this particular case, that's often WhatsApp. And that goes into the tech stack that we've used. We've used Stubber, which is a process management platform, which I'll show you guys shortly. And then we are using WhatsApp as the interface. And that's how we communicate with this. And then we're using ChatGPT for the brains and like the inference and things of that sort. So using Stubber for the process management, what this essentially is we have defined a series of flow paths. These flow paths are essentially journeys that the user can go through our system. And having set these up, the ChatGPT, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but essentially ChatGPT will do the inference as far as which is the appropriate flow path to take given the request of the user. But Stubber is essentially where these flow paths are defined. WhatsApp is how we then talk to Stubber. And so that would then allow us to ask questions, get feedback and things of the sort. And again, we use ChatGPT for the inference. So we talk to this thing and then ChatGPT kicks in and then it figures out what to do. And then after it does that, it gets back to us. Good grief. These do not look like the other ones, but you know what? It's okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Sorry, yeah, this
Yes.
I really hope the Microsoft person is listening to me. Okay, here we have WhatsApp over here. I'm hoping you guys can see WhatsApp. Can someone please let me know if you can see WhatsApp?
No. We
Oh
see
my
challenges
goodness.
and learnings.
That is not good. That is not good.
Collins, from a Microsoft perspective, what you're going to do is just end the slideshow, because what's happening is it's showing the slideshow over your screen.
Okay, that's okay. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna just stop sharing my screen for a moment, and then I'll try something else. How's that? 'Cause I think the Microsoft
Yeah. Maybe stop sharing and sharing like I did.
This is iffy. Okay, I have stopped sharing. I really hope this kicks in.
Demo gods are with you.
That is always the plan, right? That is always the plan.
So it's more like the demo gremlins.
Ah, the gremlins.
The beloved spinning beach ball. Please let me know when y'all can see my screen.
Don't worry, Collins. We know it's not just you. It was Doug as well.
I have the red bounding box. Do you guys see WhatsApp?
Yes.
Yes. Now we do.
Fantastic. Okay, this is great. So what we have over here now is we're talking to Stubber now, but ultimately you could rename this right now just as Stubber Public, but you could rename it to any number of things. And in this particular case, it's reached out and said, "Hi, Collins, welcome to Investec's programmable banking. I'm Kumba, your personal assistant capable of helping you bank and checking balances and making transfers to showing up customer alerts. Whether you're looking for day-to-day banking support, I'm here to assist. What would you like to do? So I can then from here say, please get a list of my accounts. So I'm going to hit enter on that. And what's happened now is that I have asked Kumba to go and to fetch a list of my accounts. And what Kumba is then going to go ahead and do is receive the message. So that's the first part. Having received the message, it will then figure out which is the right flow path to go for. And then those flow paths have REST API endpoints attached. So it'll then actually make a call to go and find out my accounts for me, which it has done in this particular case. So I'm just gonna also do this on my phone. Give me a moment. Please get the transactions inside of my private bank account. So here, what I've now done is I have sent over a voice note. I don't know if I have the audio sharing set up, but I'm hoping you guys did hear that. And what will happen is it will receive this particular message. Having received the particular message, it will then do the transcription side of things. After it does the transcription, it will then, it will then proceed as normal. So it will basically have treated it almost as a text, but again, that's after the transcription step. So it's saying that there aren't any recent transactions that are recorded. So it seems like it's been a quiet period. Perhaps I'm saving up for something fabulous. That is very possible. What I can also do is still via the voice note, please get my balance for the private bank account. So again, whether I am communicating via text or via voice note, essentially it's much the same. I'm able to use WhatsApp to talk to my bank account, which is really, really epic and really, really great. As soon as this thing gets back to me, which it has, it's saying that over here I have 1,719,499.96 inside of my available balance, which is really, really aspirational. I am going to showcase one more particular aspect. And what I'm going to now do is I'm just going to do this on my phone. But I've essentially sent Kumba, that being my banker in my pocket, a PDF file. And this PDF file is essentially just an invoice. So here what we have is we have an invoice over here, and it's for desk essentials. So I want to get a desk and a new monitor and like a computer and all of those things. So it's able to essentially read this invoice. Here's the total, here the banking details. So it's able to read this invoice, and having read the invoice, it is able to pick out what the invoice is for, and it's also able to take note of the banking details. So it's able to read that as well out of the invoice. So it has the company info, it has the due date, the invoice number, and it has total, and it also was able to get the banking details. So what I will do is, in this case, it says the available balance is 0, but I know we just saw I have money, so it's confused. I'm just going to ask it to make this particular payment. So I'll say something along the lines of, I'll just go to the voice note. Please check if Desk Essentials is a beneficiary, and if they are, please make the payment. So what would happen at this particular point now is that it will infer from my request, check if this person is a beneficiary. So it's going to go get the list of beneficiaries, check if they are in there. And then if they are in there, it'll then be able to like initiate a payment and all of those particular things. In this case, it's saying that my available balance is 0, so it won't be able to do that, which is fair and plausible. In other tests, it went a different way, but that is the beauty of AI, right? You never know necessarily what you're going to get. But that is this particular part of the process. I'll end it there. Otherwise, I could walk through some of the other things that happened previously, but I'll probably do that at the end if that comes up. So with that said, good grief, the spinning beach ball and this cursor of mine. I see that comment, Peter. That was great. So we are. I'll just not go full screen. Let's this thing be stuck. Can you guys at least see? Can you see the notes again? Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Ah, progress. So, let's cover some of the challenges. One of the challenges that we really experienced was connecting everything. So because it follows some flow paths, which I will just quickly switch over to and show you guys. Because it follows these flow paths have to essentially be set up. So this is the compositions this is like the backend where it does all the things that it does. But yeah, so there's all of these flow paths which need to get set up. I will just refresh. You guys in the comments are amazing. While this thing is refreshing, okay, it's fine. I'll come back to this part later then. So essentially, we have to connect everything. Let's move aside now. That's okay, it's fine. But yes, so we have to connect everything. So we have to tell it what it can do and what it can't do. And that part means that for all of like the different parts, you kind of have to get that set up. You have your entry point, and then you sort of have like the decision. And then you have like some potential things that it can do, some endpoints that it can call. And so that is like a challenge because for all of the different endpoints that exist within the programmable banking API, you then have to set those up so that you can take advantage of them. The other thing, preventing hallucinations, that was a challenge. So before we had everything set up, as we were progressively testing it, you would ask it for things, and the things that you would ask it for, it would start like inventing things. You'd say, get my accounts, and then it would like come up with accounts that do not exist. And that was not great at all. So eventually we were able to overcome that, but it's like still like a challenge, right? Setting up the prompts so that it all works. So you are able to give this thing personality or any number of things. So getting that aspect as well to tell it how it should respond, how it should behave. Is it going to be, short and temperamental? Is it going to be long-winded and patient? All of these things that we have to address. Leander, I'll get to your question just now, the question section. Some learnings would be that the hallucinations are a massive risk because you ultimately, as you're using this, you don't want to see things that are not there. So you don't want to believe you have accounts that you don't have access to. You don't want to see that you have 1 million, but then it refuses to make a payment because it says you don't have 1 million. Like those things are very, very tricky, right? Like as you're actually using this. And the other thing is to always use the latest AI models. So what happened at some point is that we were using some of the cheaper ChatGPT models, and those don't work as great when it comes to certain paths. And that also prevented like the hallucinations, was using those particular models. Some next steps that we could add in and would love to would be the adding of the authentication. So currently I am using the simulated environment. I would have loved to switch tabs and show you guys how it works behind the scenes. But if the screen sharing is anything to go by, I'm just going to keep it here for now. So adding authentication to the call so that way all of the calls are secure as that engage is going on. That'll be a great next step. Adding some fraud detection. So how can you detect anomalous behavior? How do you know when someone is using the system correctly or when someone is, you ask someone to, like someone can ask you, can I borrow your phone? And then they can start doing some weird things. How do you detect things like that, right? One of the solutions we thought is also to add personalized voice recognition so that it knows when it's you and when it isn't. That covers the voice side of things. It doesn't necessarily cover the text-based side of things. So again, how do we detect and keep the system safe and secure? And the other thing also is investigating how to mitigate some WhatsApp mobile risks. So mobile itself is prone to several challenges. One being the whole SIM card thing. You're essentially using a phone number to identify one particular individual. And while that ordinarily is a good means of doing so, you can send OTPs and so forth, it doesn't account for SIM swap attacks. And in that particular case, we have seen historically that banks have been caught in a weird situation wherein, because of a SIM swap, the person you thought was the person is not the person anymore. And that's a legitimate risk just with using mobile outside of just WhatsApp in itself. So there's a lot of conversations around how do you mitigate some of those things, because if you've had like 2 or 3 phone numbers and you had one of them for WhatsApp and one for calling, at some point you might have realized that you got signed out of your WhatsApp number because someone else now physically had that number. It was recycled. So, and that person got your messages, the ones that hadn't reached you at least. So, you know, there's a lot of like challenges, and you don't want that to happen with your money. You don't want someone to see you have a balance that you know you don't have. And then as far as getting in touch, you guys can reach out to me on Slack or on LinkedIn. Either of those are great. And a massive shout out to the Team 6 members who are at the hackathon: Charlotte Martin, Peter Venter, Caleb Ramon, Ahai Karadia, and Tendani Mukwevo, without whom the solution would not have been here. And with that, I would open the floor to questions. And I see, Leander, you had a question, and I'd like to answer that if I can.
Well done on doing this, firstly.
Thank you.
And what model did you use for this?
I think that at the beginning we were using the 3.5, and then we ended up switching to the 4. So doing that, switching to the 4, it just kind of like made it a bit more clued up. And when it became a bit more clued up, it was able to reason better. Because really that's how the thing works. It infers from the flow parts. So it needs those in order to know what to do. And if you have a poor model, it's just not that great.
Okay, and another question, authentication. How did you get up around that? Verifying like it's you,
100%.
not your kid.
So we have 2 things to it. The first is, in this case, this doesn't have authentication on the API level, so the calls themselves are not authenticated. However, when you're sort of defining this thing and setting it up, you can choose who the person is that you'll be connecting to. So there's almost like a pre-registration phase, and we have a couple people loaded in who in theory would be able to go ahead and talk to this. So there's a longer conversation to be had about how to really split it up across different people, like you're saying. But in this case, we only have that very thin layer. Sweet. Are there any other questions as I try and read the comments?
We went from a very dodgy file naming convention to I don't know what this is that you have going on here.
You
1001
also
Shades of Grey.
I should have primed you guys better. So like I mentioned, this thing has seen many life forms before it became the version that we know and love today. But it had a very interesting personality a few months ago. So I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it to the imagination. I'm hoping you guys can still see the screen. So what we have here is just some of the prompts. And I know I'm a little bit.
We can still see the 1001 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, boy.
you know, it's all the zebra stripes. Like if the zebra's moving, it just looks. Where is this guy? So hopefully you guys can see the prompt instructions. I'm trying to get to the place where I can show you all some of the flow parts, but it doesn't want to cooperate with me, at least not while I'm sharing my screen. And that is a known issue as a Mac user. I really hope that Windows person is listening. But all of that to say, towards the right, we essentially have these different entry points and stuff that we set up. And so all of that to say, you then choose sort of like the path that you're going through. And how you ask and what you ask for is how it is able to infer what should be done. So I don't know how visible this is, but some of the ones we have are getting the account listing, getting the account balance, getting the transactions, performing a transfer, getting beneficiaries, and performing a beneficiary payment. So all of those are things that you can ask Kumba to do. And again, because you've asked, it will infer from these possibilities what to do. And then in the event that it can't do something, it will then let you know that it can't do something.
Sorry,
And
Collins,
it
can you
does
just zoom
have
in?
Sure, I will try zoom in some more. I was avoiding zooming in because of what had been happening, but just for you, I will zoom in.
Yeah, this is making me feel like I need to wear glasses.
Okay.
Collins, maybe can you do a short video for us and maybe just share it on the Slack? Because I know it's like it's
Sure,
really
I'll share the video that we have.
okay.
How's that?
Because I know it's taking a little bit of time to load, and we're short on time.
100%. So I don't think there are any more questions, so I'll hand it back over to you, but I hope you can see the screen and some of the things that it can do. So really the only limitation is the APIs. More APIs means more things. And if there are any questions, feel free to reach out to me or any of the other people on the team. Thank you all.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Collins.
I'm definitely interested in Stubber. I think it looks like quite a cool platform.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. Our next speaker is Johan Schoeman, who is one of the members of the Investec team. This is an opportunity for everyone to ask him any questions about the API, because he is the person who knows it best. Johan, are you ready to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing?
I can, yeah. Do I share or do you share?
If you want to share, you're
Can you share? I actually don't have it open.
okay. Let me
It's just one slide. Yeah.
Let me get there, and then I'll
Or maybe
share
just
it.
to start off, I mean, like most of you would know, like if you want to get anything done, new features or whatever, like you would go to any other bank in the country. I mean, you would just talk to their API devs over Slack and maybe ask them for a new endpoint, right? I mean, that's normally how it works. I presume, like any other corporate, maybe. I don't know, financial institutions or banks. Most of them, you can just basically chat to the devs, and then. So this is just painting a little picture. So this is how it originated. I do try and dodge those questions on Slack a bit because I am busy trying to look after the platform, keep it stable, get new business units on it. But then Devin pitches up there, comes to my desk and says, "Hey, can you check if there's pending transactions on that endpoint?" And then, so that's the one endpoint. We added pending transactions. We added a new endpoint. So we thought, okay, instead of having just the flag on the existing one to bring back also your pendings, you can only get your pendings. So we have a new pending transaction endpoint. You can also get the pendings in your existing transactions endpoint. So you just say, okay, include pending equals true, then you get those. And then Devin said, okay, what about a UUID? And then we added the UUID. But also that's the community that's asking this stuff. So that is a very basic ID that we added. It's based on the account ID, posted order, and the posted date, and we concatenate those together to produce a UUID. Seeing that it's not a backend ID, if anything changes on a transaction, the posted order or the date, that ID will change. But it just saves you from building your own ID, seeing that we don't have a very unique ID on that endpoint. And then last thing is the approved beneficiaries that we added. There was an ask from a long time ago. So you can now do your municipality bill payments or any of SARS. I mean, you would love to pay SARS monthly, so you can do that. yeah, that's it. Any questions? I'm not sure how to get hold of the other devs from the other companies, but okay, next slide, sorry. That's just some examples of what it should look like. On your left-hand side, that's your penny transactions. So they have not the same amount of fields as your normal transactions, very limited. And then on your right-hand side, those are the approved beneficiaries. So if you would like to do a SaaS payment for me, you can just copy that code you saw on the screen there. Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, Johan, thanks. So I'm not sure if you saw my chat with Nick yesterday. I was asking about scheduled payments API.
And then I tried to ignore it, but yes, I saw.
So my question to you is, how can I get you to not ignore it? And what sort of process might you want us to go through to say, I really want this API?
Like, I think what the point that Devin made about the scheduling, you can build the scheduling on your side, maybe. That could potentially be an option, I think. Leveraging the existing schedule payment, if you want to do that via the API. We saw your message. We're going to chat about it back in our hub. And then we need to see, okay, is there enough appetite on it? And how much effort is it? So obviously we need to stop something else to do that.
Sure.
So yeah, no, we'll definitely take it back.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. We don't ignore this stuff.
No, cool.
Look at it.
I don't know if that is sufficient. So you're saying that is sufficient to get it on your radar. I just need to build up some support amongst the community to say why this is important and have some people backing me, and then you'll consider it more strongly.
I definitely think the louder one screams, the more attention one gets, maybe, and the more screams
I
there
will
are,
do
maybe.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Johan.
Cool. Lekker.
Cool. Thanks, Johan.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here and just giving some feedback. It's always appreciated to have you involved, and especially when you're messaging on Slack as well. You know, it helps everyone instead of it just being me chatting to you.
No, it's cool.
Cool. Shan, I don't know if you want to.
Yep.
I know we're running a bit behind on time.
A bit over, but we can just be quick with our update. Cool. I just wanted to actually introduce myself. So I'm Shannagh. For those that don't know me, you can call me Shan. I've joined the Investec team, the community team, to help support you and the rest of the community. You're very welcome to just call me Shan instead of Shannagh, because it's a lot easier. A bit of background on me is that I actually trained as a scientist. Afterwards, I then moved into and kind of fell in love with sort of the tech startup space. A couple of years back, I found myself working for OfferZen and helping to manage this partnership with Investec, which is kind of where programmable banking in this community all started. I then went off to build a startup that was not meant to be, and now I am back. So it's really nice to see some old faces, also the new faces, and to also see sort of the progress that's been made so far. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly run through some of the updates for the last quarter. Things you can get involved in. If you want to change the slide, Devin, please.
Yes.
Cool. So the first one is our community survey. Please go and fill it in. Nick, if you can pop the link in the channel, that would be great. So it's open until the 1st of December, so 9 days left. It'll only take you 8 minutes. And all of that feedback is stuff that we consider for next year. We're also going to try and put some of that feedback into the newsletter for December, so you can also see what that feedback looks like. We also have community bounties running, so there's also 10 days left on that. So for that, it's building, festive API wrappers. So for both the survey and the bounties, there's swag up for grabs. So yeah. get involved. And then lastly, just an update from myself is that we're working just to update and do a bit of a refresh on the community wiki. So that'll be over November and December. Please, you're also welcome to contribute on GitHub and make your contributions. It is your wiki, it is for you. So I'll be updating just some of the sort of get started and tutorial content. There's some things that are a bit outdated that need to be refreshed. And this is our last meetup, so we will be around, but they will then be resuming from January. Yep, that's me.
Cool, thanks, Shan.
Cool.
Yeah, so just a quick run through from my side, just to mention, that the community has been really active in the last year. I think it's been awesome. We attended a lot of hackathons. I know we also, we had some at Investec as well, which Collins showed his, their entry for it. I think that, we saw some really cool things being built out. There was a couple of things like Subtrack, as well. We saw a couple of things like what Collins was showing where, using some of the audio cues to access your account. I know last couple of demos as well, we saw stuff from Shaylin and a few others within the community. And as well as that, there's been a couple of the community packages that have been kept up to date, like the TypeScript package that Fricky was doing. I see other Nick from Cape Town. He did also the PHP wrapper that's still being used, which has really been cool. And yeah, if there's any other ones that I've missed, welcome to pop them in the chat. If there's been any notable contributions from the community that you felt should still be heard. One-on-ones and in real life engagements, the IRLs, we came through and we had, I think it was 2 Cape Town meetups. We had an amazing one in Stellenbosch as well. We had the Pretoria one, or the Centurion one, and a couple in Johannesburg. It was really great to have everybody part of the financial wellness training and just meeting everybody across South Africa. I know we've neglected like KwaZulu-Natal and those areas, but I'm sure Nick has something planned there. There was also like DevConf and just having the workshop there and having a couple of community members coming in and participating with us and just spreading the word of the programmable banking and the Investec developer. Yeah, then obviously we just wanted to mention again that LinkedIn account. Just go and like and share there and follow for more information. That is quite a bit of an experiment, because it's a bit of an offshoot from the Investec brand. So the more engagement and the more activity there, I think will really help the community to continue to grow. And then last but not least is community champs. That if anybody here wants to become a community champ, what that entails is I think it's the top 10 most active members of the community. With all that engagement, you get a bit of swag, and you also get your banking fees back every 3 months if you're one of the most active in the community. So that's a really cool thing that was launched this year as well. And then community growth. I see the numbers are there. 2024. So we got 461 new joiners, which is really fantastic. A whole new set of people.
2024.
Because I knew it was at 19, so I was like, that number looks, that looks right. Oh Lord, 461 new joiners. Excuse my 224. Yes. Thanks, Shan. Could have just left that and just plain sailed it through. But yeah, it was fantastic that we have about 2,000 people within the community. Yeah, and then I think, is there anything else that I have missed there? No, and I think that's largely it for tonight. if everyone can scan the QR code, give your feedback for the event, being one of the first hosted by one of the community members. So I am also a champ, which, you know, Nick has graciously given me the opportunity of taking his throne of managing this meetup. So if you thought I did a good job, or you want to rate there that I was terrible and I missed, you know, understood 2024 for how many members we had, you're welcome to give that in the feedback there. So yeah, if anyone wants to fill that out, that will really help us and just help us with engagement with the community. But yeah, thanks. That's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us and for everything you've done to make this a really successful year for the community.